Why do Warren Buffett and Bill Gates swear by bridge? Maybe it's because it teaches lessons that you can't learn in a business school. In bridge, like in business, every bid is a declaration, a commitment that either exposes risks or unlocks a fortune. You never have perfect information. You must act under uncertainty, trusting a partner whose cards you cannot see, and making your decision before you know how the full hand will play out. Today, we're sitting across the table from a man who has spent a lifetime making exactly those kinds of bold, calculated calls. He is the former chairman of HDFC, a Padma Bhushan awardee, and one of India's most trusted voices in finance, governance, and institution building, Mr. Deepak Parekh. From reshaping India's housing finance landscape to advising governments and global corporations to rebuilding shattered companies like Satyam, he has played the long game with the patience of a bridge master and the foresight of a seasoned investor. In this episode of Bridge to Success, we explore the hidden parallels between the card table and the boardroom, strategy, partnership, trust, and the art of bold decision making, through the lens of one of India's most respected business leaders. Mr. Deepak Parekh, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's start at the very beginning, because for a man known for decades of disciplined and structured thinking, I imagine the journey into bridge wasn't accidental. So, when did you first start playing bridge and what initially drew you to the game?
Well, I started playing bridge when I was studying in London. You see, I was doing my chartered accountancy, which meant you had to work in the office in a CA firm during the day. In the evening, you had nothing to do, either drink or play bridge or do both. As young kids, we stayed in hostels and there was always a room available. The bar was a big bar where you could sit and play bridge and drink. And studying was at the end. One month before the exams, you go to a crammer course and you sit for 20 hours and study and pass the exam. So during the time you are working and learning accounts, you had a lot of free time in the evening, 5:30, 6 to 12, 8. So that's the time I really picked up bridge and I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I used to play every day when I was in London doing my CA, practically every evening. And it was so interesting at one stage, I thought if I could make a living out of it, I would do that permanently. But unfortunately, you can't make a living out of that.
Right, it's quite difficult. So, I think there's another version of you that doesn't usually make it into the economic conferences or annual reports. You're an avid sports enthusiast and you're as frequently seen at Wimbledon as at Wankhede. So for someone who carries as much on his plate as you do, what does sport give you that work cannot?
Well, part of it may be guilt because I was master of none. I played most of the games, but as an average player, I didn't master. I was not representing my college or school or thing in any sport. And somehow I got used to tennis. And Wimbledon is one of the most awaited events in tennis, international tennis. The reason I got more interested in tennis was because of my role in HDFC, where we deal with all banks like Credit Suisse and all the other banks. They have boxes there at Wimbledon. And I used to get invited from Merrill Lynch and Bank of America and others. So every summer I used to go to London and watch one or two games. And the best games was to watch on a Friday evening, which is men's doubles, men's singles. But you get two games, the two semi-finals. And every year I've been going, barring the COVID, even this year I'm going. So it's a good atmosphere, it's a good relaxation. I'm retired now, I don't have any work to do. So, and that time in London, there are lots of sporting activities. There's cricket also. Like India is going there this year. So there's tennis and there is cricket. So you can easily spend 2-3 weeks in London, England, watching matches and.
So, Wimbledon and Test cricket, they both are long form games and they kind of reward patience over quick wins. Is that something that draws you to them? Do you think, and do you think like the kind of sport you love says something about the kind of thinker you are?
No, you can correlate it with business because in business you have to have a long-term objective. You can't start an organization or be in an organization for a short vision. If you are building a company, if you are building an institution, if you are building an industry, banking industry or financial sector, you have to be in the long run. The fact that we got a life insurance is an industry which takes years and years and years to make even profit. You have to fund losses for 10 years, 15 years, which we did. But it's a long-term game and you need patience for, you see today Life Insurance Corporation is the biggest financial institution in India because of its number of years in existence, and it is even bigger than State Bank. So it requires time, patience and money to survive. So you have to have in financial sector that vision. You're not starting something or building something just to sell it away.
So, you were also a special advisor to the BCCI. So, cricket wasn't just a spectator sport for you. So, how different was that experience sitting on the governance side of a sport that the entire country is so passionate and emotional about from corporate governance?
Frankly, I got into that only because of Sunil Gavaskar. Sunil was in school, same school as me.
Oh, wow.
And he was junior to me, of course. But we knew him, we respected him, we are in awe of him in those days in school. And so he asked me that there were some rumblings in BCCI that there is some corruption or there is some betting going on, match fixing which happens. But it was a very difficult task because I could go to all the matches, I could go to the commentary room, I could go wherever. But how can you catch two people who are planning something not during the game but outside? So it was an interesting experience for me because I could walk into any cricket game, into any room and watch the game. But it was difficult to pinpoint who were the guys who were making a mistake or who were the guys who were cheating or match fixing.
And now naturally to the third game that you never miss, that's also played on a green, not on grass, not on turf, but across a card table. So most people who reach your level of success wind down their commitments, but you've done the opposite with bridge. You still play regularly. So why do you still play bridge? Is it the mental exercise, the social dimension, or is it just something you've come to love?
There's no social element in it. It is just an interesting game. I must tell you that nowadays people in India have got used to mahjong.
Yeah.
And mahjong is a big craze. And I used to play mahjong when I was in Hong Kong with Chase Manhattan Bank. I used to play there regularly, mahjong, bridge or mahjong. I have not started playing mahjong, but mahjong, like bridge, requires some thinking. And you know, I've always had an active life. So I want my mind to be working. And that's the reason I'm interested in bridge, because you have to use your brains, you have to think. I'm scared of getting Alzheimer's, and I've read books which says if you keep your mind active. So every night I do Sudoku. Oh. Every night.
I do Sudoku every morning.
Every night in bed before sleeping I do Sudoku, and the 5 one, the most difficult. Either on the iPad or on the phone, or my office also sends me on paper wherever it's 5.
Yeah.
Oh, very hard, very difficult. And not with an eraser, with a pen.
Right. That's the actual challenge.
That's the way to do it.
In bridge, sometimes you have to lose a trick in order to set up your contract. And in 2010, you stepped down voluntarily as executive chairman of HDFC when the board and your own family were actually against it. So I think that's an extraordinary act of institutional thinking. So what really made you do this?
What made me leave HDFC?
As executive chairman.
I regret it today.
Really?
In the sense, I continued for years after that
Right.
as a non-executive. As a non-executive, you are not paid.
Yeah.
And as a non-executive, you don't get stock options. But I was sitting there the whole day, working, advising in the office with my colleagues.
Right.
So the only reason that I did this was I wanted the next lot to come up. I wanted my colleague Keki Mistry to become managing director, Renu to be joint managing director, deputy managing director, that way. Otherwise, I've been there for so many years, I could have continued.
Right.
In fact, some of my board members asked me, why don't you continue as an executive? But I thought it was right, morally right, to allow others to come up in life also.
Right. That's amazing. So, your career has spanned over 5 decades now and multiple economic cycles from liberalization to the digital age. So, was there a moment in your career where conventional wisdom guided you down one path, but you chose a different path entirely, like the way a bridge player chooses a more non-intuitive line of play?
I have done that throughout my life. In fact, in the early days also, I was in National and Greenlay's merchant banking division. I had an argument with my CEO and I quit without having a job. I just quit because I said what he said and what he did was wrong. And after I left, I looked for a job and I joined something. But so basically, conventional wisdom is to have patience. Conventional wisdom is nothing but patience and tolerance. You have to be tolerant, you have to be patient. To earn a reputation, to earn money for your company, to grow the company, you have to have patience, you have to have tolerance, and you have to have adaptability. You have to be able to be adaptable to other people. Everyone is not as bad as you or as good as you. Every human being is different. You have to tolerate all of them. You have to work with them. So it's conventional wisdom. Sometimes I do take decisions at the spur of the moment, but normally it is well thought out.
At its heart, Bridge is also a game about trust. You and your partner are sharing information through bids and committing to contracts that you cannot fulfill alone, and you're defending against uncertainty together. So, how has playing bridge shaped the way you think about partnership and trust in business, in leadership, and in the teams you built at HDFC?
See, teamwork is the most essential wherever you are, in your personal life, in your office life, in your social life, in your work life. Teamwork, you cannot do anything alone by yourself. You need people to work with you. You need colleagues whom you get on with, whom you tolerate, whom you have patience to work with. And so this is one habit, trait, whatever you call it, which you have to build when you are young at your age. You have to be tolerant. You have to accept other people.
So, has Bridge ever opened a door or built a relationship for you that couldn't have materialized otherwise? A connection, a conversation?
You know, when I was studying in London doing my CA, there used to be bridge tournaments in different hotels in the city. Duplicate bridge, practically every day in some city or the other. Even Bombay, you know, you can play bridge Monday to Saturday in different clubs. It's CCI or Wellington or Bombay Gym or Otters or Malabar Hill Club. Every day there is. I used to go and watch Omar Sharif, the famous actor. Omar Sharif was a great bridge player. And I used to go and sit behind him and watch him play bridge.
Right.
And in that, I got a conversation with him because he saw me every time he was playing in London, I was sitting behind him.
Right.
So we had a conversation also about his film and bridge, his acting and all. So those were very great moments because you don't meet such great personalities like that.
Right.
But that got me in bridge. I was just a spectator. Tournaments were going on and he used to play regularly.
So, the institutions you have built are known to be the best at managing risk. And Bridge also has a very complex relationship with risk. You're always making probabilistic bets. If there's a contract that has a 60% chance of making, do you go for it or do you accept a smaller reward?
Go for it. You have to be an optimistic in life first. If you're optimistic in life, half your battle is won. Because your hope is there for everything. You're hoping this will happen. So in work and so in Bridge, like, we got licenses to start a bank. Our board was telling us, what do you know of a bank? We are just doing a limited housing finance. And when Reserve Bank put an ad in the paper, I went to the board, I want to start a bank. And all of them reacted very negatively. They said, what do you know of the bank? And why do you want to do something else when we are doing well here? So, this is what we say aggressive, but confident. That, we never knew we would get a license. We had to just apply. And I thought it would be a good way to expand because the financial sector was opening up in India. And so in Bridge, you have to be optimistic and you have to, it's better to overbid than underbid. I always overbid rather than underbid.
I hope that says a lot.
Because you are always hopeful you'll be able to get a finesse or someone else will make a mistake, your opponents make a mistake.
Right. So another thing that Bridge teaches relentlessly is how to recover from a bad board. You've played hands you shouldn't bid, you've walked into traps, you've overbid hands. But then you move on because the next hand comes regardless. So what has Bridge taught you about failure and recovery? And how long does a bad decision at the table or in the boardroom really stay with you?
See, the bad decisions used to stay with you when you were very young. Because I participated in competition in London and New York when I was studying and working. And those days it was intensive. So even after the game is over and you go home, go to your digs or whatever, you think, why did I do this? Post-mortem, a lot of post-mortem happens. And you regret your decision that it was simple error and why do you do it? So, you have to accept the mistakes you do. You have to be sharper the future. And you don't have to see your hand. You have to see the hands of all the three other players. What have they thrown? Have they signaled? How many cards of a particular color, spade or diamonds are gone? You have to do a lot of mental calculation. You don't have a paper pencil or a computer. So it improves your thinking power, it improves your memory, and it improves your sharpness. So these are some positives, but it could be also time consuming, and you have to make a living, and you can't be carried away that I want to play bridge every day during the day. So you have to have that balance.
So how did you manage your time between bridge and work?
So as I said, in the evenings, I used to play bridge after work. Work in London was only articleship. And exams at that time, 1 month you don't play bridge.
Right.
You just sit in the library and study.
Right.
And a lot of experience you get while working in CA. And the questions of the CA exams are related to your accounting and audit and all that. So you get personal experience while working in an organization, and then last minute you study.
So, when Satyam collapsed in 2009, the government placed you on the reconstructed board, and you stepped into one of the messiest situations in Indian corporate history. So, did the composure that Bridge demands inform how you approach that situation?
So, let me go to the background, quite interesting. At that time, Secretary of Department of Economic Affairs was Montek Singh Ahluwalia, Dr. Ahluwalia. He called me up and he said, there's this problem at Satyam and we want you to go there and sort it out. I said, sorry, I've got too much on my plate, I'm unable to do it. 15 minutes later, again he called and he said, speak to the Prime Minister. Oh, wow. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister that time. And I've known Manmohan Singh because he was governor of RBI. And so he said, Deepak, can you help us, please? He was a very soft-spoken person, gentleman. I just couldn't say no. So I got into it. And the first day when I went to Hyderabad, the thing in my mind was how to solve it ASAP. The only way to solve it is to sell it as soon as possible. Before selling, we had a few things to do. We had to ensure that the staff, employees don't leave because they are the backbone of of an IT company. So we had to meet the staff, senior management, and talk to them in town halls and all that to say that we are trying to solve, don't leave. And at night, we used to call our clients in the US or UK that we have a team working. Your work won't be interrupted. Your work won't be disturbed. It will be done as is. The same people are there. Please have patience. We are going to get this issue solved. So you needed the clients. So we took care of it. You needed the people whom we talked and pacified them. And then we were thinking how to do it professionally, how to get another person, another group to come and take it. And so once we were ready with all this, one crisis happened. All the banks blocked all accounts. And you know, I'm just telling you the quality of our Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. While the work is going on, he had a heart issue. He called me. I was surprised. He called me to say, I'm going for a short heart procedure, but I have advised, informed Pranab Mukherjee, who was the finance minister, to help you out when you have any problem. So he was that particular. Because see, the Indian name industry, India's reputation was IT. And we did have a problem when all the banks blocked accounts. We couldn't even pay our transport. To go from the airport to the Satyam office, all of us had to pay a taxi. That taxi service refused. You are not paid our old bills. So, you know, they blocked the account. So I had to go rush to Delhi. And I met Pranab Mukherjee and he made a call to a few banks, to the finance minister, and work started again. And then we appointed a retired Supreme Court judge to oversee the auction. We had an auction, and the auction was held in Bombay, and Mahindras were the higher bidder. So it got over in a very short period of time.
So I think like the kind of strategic planning you make before you start to play out in a bridge deal kind of shows how you this structured thinking before you approach the situation.
Took me to the managing director's room, Ramalinga Raju's room. The first day I went, he said, "Sir, this is your place." I said, "No, I am not going to sit here. I am going to sit in the boardroom with everyone else." I had to also take my secretary from here every time because, you know, I couldn't trust the people there. What we were doing for writing minutes and all, so we had to do it ourselves.
So now coming back, you are by all accounts still one of the sharpest minds in Indian finance. You have been advising global boards, speaking at major conferences, and been playing bridge regularly for over 50 years. So how much of your cognitive sharpness do you attribute to the game and how much discipline it requires?
I don't think you can specify a percentage or an amount or something, but it does help. Discipline does help. And because, you know, you're not playing yourself. And always, even in college days, we used to pay for small stakes. So very small stakes, even now small stakes, because there has to be some monetary benefit or loss. So you have to be cautious, otherwise you can play very rashly and all that. So so it does help. It does bring the right qualities in your business, in your profession, playing bridge, because more apart from teamwork, it is opponents also. You have to respect the opponents also, you know. And so you have 4 people playing, so you develop relationship and all. So I play some Monday, Tuesday, sometimes I play. I play every year in Murli Devra Memorial Tournament because I used to play a lot with Murli. And Hema organizes it, Hema and her two sons organize it. And I always play there and I try and partner Hema for that.
Okay, that's amazing. So there's a fascinating statistic that roughly 45% of leading bridge players in the US are from the financial services sector. But in India, that number is about 2%. And earlier, bridge was part of the culture at IITs and IIMs. It was played in clubs, colonies, campuses. But then somewhere I think the game skipped a generation. So why do you think bridge lost its popularity in India, particularly among the youth, while it remains thriving in places like the US?
It's sad to see this. I think either with the onset of technology and smartphones, this has become the passion of the youth. If you see any youth, he would spend 10 hours, 6 hours a day on the telephone. Not talking, but even listening and watching something or conversing with someone. So this has been a distraction. When mobile phones were not there, there was no form of entertainment. I think this has been, but it's sad that the youngsters are not taking up to bridge. You know, some reason, world champions, there are only two countries mainly which have remained world champions for a long time, Italy and United States. Italy and US globally have been world champions the maximum number of times in bridge, in global bridge. And I was surprised to hear about Italians because they're fun-loving people. But obviously they take it seriously. College life, I think maybe some studies takes a longer time because it's very competitive now. In our days, it was not that competitive. Today, it's extremely competitive to get into a college, and then competitiveness because your other colleagues are studying, you have to show. You know, so maybe it's a little bit of that, a little bit of the smartphones distraction.
So now every bridge player usually has a hand they remember, like a contract that they've made against all odds, a defense they're proud of, or a mistake they've replayed in their mind hundreds of times. So is there a hand like that or a moment at the table that still stays with you?
Yeah, some hands always stay, particularly when you go down. And particularly when you go down, and you know, I remember one 6 no trumps I bid and we were 7 down because we won one suit we couldn't protect. So, you know, and it was doubled and all. So that, you know, you always remember that you think your partner has the right cards, the partner thinks you have the right cards, and that's how the bidding happens. And you know, in duplicate bridge which they play, you can't talk. It is, you have to put the cards down because by talking you can make out. You know, like Murli and all, we used to play not duplicate, rubber bridge. So when we would say double like that means you don't take it out. It's double like that. You know, you can indicate.
So Mr. Parekh, you spent a lifetime playing the long game in business and governance and bridge. You've built institutions that outlast individuals. And you've made decisions under uncertainty that have defined industries. And you sat at the bridge table almost every single day, still learning, still playing. So what is one piece of advice that you would like to leave for the next generation who are just beginning to navigate the uncertainties of the world?
Learn to play bridge. Play bridge. Please find spare time. You cannot say you are busy 24 hours. You will learn a lot. You will learn patience, you will learn teamwork, you will improve your sharpness, you will be more confident in life. So learn bridge. Spend some time to play bridge, friendly bridge. Not necessarily club bridge, competitive, but friendly bridge.
So, Mr. Parekh, 45 years building an institution, a regular at the bridge table, a career built on exactly the values this game demands: patience, partnership, discipline, and the courage to make your bid even when you can't see every card on the table. Thank you for your time, your candor, and your generosity today. It has been a privilege. To everyone listening, the lessons from this table are not really about cards. They're about how the sharpest minds of our time learn to think. And as Mr. Parekh has shown us, some habits, when chosen wisely, last a lifetime. Thank you for tuning in to Bridge to Success, and we'll see you next time.